Hafa everyone, and welcome to the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce Women Rising podcast on the KUAM Podcast Network. We hear so much about building your personal brand in business and leadership. Why is a strong personal brand so essential for founders? How do we overcome the blocks that keep so many of us from articulating our professional value? And what core elements make a brand truly strong and memorable? Today, I am honored to be joined by two experts in this field to help us dive deeper. We have Ksenia Kanata. She's a certified executive and business coach, a brand strategist, and founder of Bird of Paradise Digital. With over 18 years of experience in branding and IT project management, she's worked with global brands like Samsung, PepsiCo, and Intel, as well as shopping malls, banks, business events, and startups. Sen combines a deep strategy with emotional intelligence, helping founders and leaders create purpose-led brands that align with who they truly are. Her approach is grounded in authenticity, intention, and creative expression, the same values she lives by. She's a board member with the GWCC, a former award-winning economic journalist, a passionate advocate for conscious leadership as well. Sen has launched businesses in 3 countries, built her own remote life, and coached clients across the globe through both professional and personal transformation. We also have Lou Mofness, a personal brand strategist helping women uncover unique qualities, stories, and even the flaws they have been taught to hide and transform them into the strengths that make their own brand bloom. She has worked with clients internationally from Germany, Dubai, and the UK, as well as Australia, Indonesia, and across the continental US. She's also worked with many local businesses and consultants in Guam. These lovely ladies co-presented, I guess I could say co-produced as well, one of the most popular master classes on personal branding at Fanatsu Familauan this past September. And so because they created so much buzz with their presentation, we invited them here today to keep that conversation going and hear more from them. So welcome.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
You are both renowned experts in your field, and you've contributed so much to this area of personal branding. So I wanted to see, first of all, what is personal branding?
So I like to first distinguish between branding, and then personal brand. And so the way I like to think of brand, and Ksenia and I have shared this, is if someone can say something about you, you have a brand. And even if someone could say, like, think about you, and maybe nothing impactful comes to light, you technically do have a brand. It just may not be what you want. Versus branding, that's the intention of deciding what that label is. Mm-hmm. So you could craft that brand rather than have the community, people who view you, define that brand for you. And Ksenia might be able to elaborate on this more personal branding and brand, but I like to distinguish it between the company versus the human. Mm. And maybe Ksenia, you'd like to differentiate that even more.
Yeah, this was one of the points of our workshop, is that company brand, when we create it, it's something that comes out of our imagination. So it's a separate entity that we create, and it exists separate from us. Whereas personal brand, it's not created, it's revealed. So we already rely on our personal qualities, on our experience, on everything we already have. Maybe we just need to shine some light on it and see how we can brand ourselves intentionally to show it to others.
I see. So why is it so essential for women in business to develop their personal brand, for that sense of authenticity for their business, for their brand, their actual
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that a lot of clients come to me, and because personal brand is very personal, so we work with the personality So it starts with the awareness. What kind of person am I? What are my interests? What are my values? And a lot of people come to personal branding from the point where they want to analyze and understand what kind of leader they are. Because a lot of people in leadership positions, managers, C-suite professionals, they first are trying to establish themselves as leaders and trying to understand what is my style, how do I manage people, how do I communicate with people, and trying to be aware of themselves and develop as humans. We all need, it's our natural need to improve and develop. And then at some point they come to a question, okay, so if I were to promote my industry or myself as a person, or certain topics that are important to me, so what kind of brand would I be building? And it is important because personal branding opens doors. Lou and I, we shared some examples of how personal brand helps people to get a better job position or just be influencing in certain field that they feel important, maybe carry a certain message that is important for the whole humanity. And that's our contribution to the community as well. Because with my personal brand, with that weight, I can provide more value to the people, to everyone who I feel is important to me.
And Xenia touched up on the leadership and business opportunity, but someone brought it up during our workshop. Is personal branding only applicable if you have a business or if you want to promote on socials? So it's already established that social media is undeniable. The power of social media and its impact, we can't question anymore. And so we already see at that level and that scale all the opportunities that are available to people who are willing to put themselves out there. But someone did pose the question, if I'm not comfortable with being on social media, do I still need to consider my personal brand? And so if we take it out of the business and company perspective and associating that with like, oh, my job, growing my business, and taking it into that personal level, a personal brand, the human aspect, I like to think of it as awareness. And so when you're aware of how you're showing up in the world, you get to decide, is that who you want to show up as? And so after that person asked about, do I need to be on social media? I said, no, but someone else posed a perfect example of how personal branding can be really powerful. And she made a statement, and she said, when Xenia and I were talking about branding, she goes, I think of who I show up as a mother. And I really love this because when you're aware of how you show up, you get to decide, is this how I want to show up for my child in her case? Like, how can I be the best mother possible for him? And in those moments, she was able to think of situations where maybe her kid was responding in a way that she needed to decide, okay, how can I show up better? Or in a way that I would actually respect as a mom for myself. And so when we consider that type of example, then we're able to take out the business aspect and think, okay, how can I show up as a human being with my employees, with my family, with my friends?
And how do you translate it to different situations, whether it be personal or professional?
Exactly.
Or yes, exactly. So I think that I wanted to see why do you feel like so many women have a problem or struggle with articulating who they are professionally? Or conversely, like, do you find that because we're in this social media, it's all about the algorithm now, and so we find ourselves like there's so many labels for different things. Oh, you're an empath. Oh, you're this type. You're that type. You're that. Does that detract from discovering our self-awareness and the essence of who we truly are, because we're just like, we check all the boxes on some Instagram post that ends up on our feed and we're like, that's who I am, and then you use that like label to like, without really examining yourself, and identifying who you are. Because I feel like no one should be in a box. We're all a combination of different things. So I think with that said, why do you think so many people have trouble articulating who they are and discovering what their brand is? Or...
I love this question because I think it's not a matter of branding. You kind of explained it yourself in the question, but it's part of the human experience. I think throughout our lives we attach ourselves to labels. Oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to do with your life? And I think those labels make it so much harder to really find yourself. Mm-hmm. So in our workshop, what we did was we actually had them. What people don't realize when we think about personal branding is, again, like separating it from the business. So a lot of it is understanding who you are as a person and being willing to take that time. Because most people don't take the time to sit with themselves and think, oh, who am I? Like, how am I showing up? Do I like how I'm showing up? Will this lead me to where I want to go? Where do I want to go? And these questions we don't always ask ourselves consistently because we're evolving and we're human.
And I think another part of this is that we are raised to be humble and to be very likable, and it is challenging to start being more vocal or voice certain concerns or just be visible even. I think it is way more acceptable historically in any society or in most of the societies to be just kind of quiet, agreeable and such. And then we always, or a lot of us, we're worried how will our families view us if we start to post on social media or go on interviews or podcasts. What will they say? And this is another part of what is so challenging for women especially, I feel like.
So self-awareness really creates that, or nurtures that self-confidence. Right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And confidence creates trust. So once we feel confident enough to be ourselves and to start being visible and being comfortable. And for some people, it might have to be a really kind of just fast changing, I don't know, I'm going to post a video today on social media. For some people, it might be gradually. Okay, what am I comfortable with today? I'm going to start posting. Or maybe I'll go and post an article instead of recording myself on a video or something like that. And the road to build a personal brand, the way is different for everybody. And I think it's very important to listen to yourself, what you're comfortable with right now, and challenge yourself a little bit at a time. So it might be uncomfortable answering all these difficult questions, right, in the beginning, and then making the steps. But as we challenge ourselves, as we ask the questions, we understand more about ourselves, and we are able to provide more value to the community and the world by being vocal, by having that personal brand.
Do you think the more curious you are, the more confident you become in that? I mean, just from personal experience, right? I find that when you interact more and you ask those questions, you're not the person, I used to always beat up on myself internally when it's like at the end of a session or a workshop or a conference when anyone have any questions? And you have a million questions, but you're like, I don't want to ruffle any feathers. I don't want to put the spotlight on myself. So you just kind of and then maybe I'm speaking personally, but I would email somebody later or ask an anonymous question in a comment. But do you find the more you ask, the more confident you are in sharing and owning, your topic of expertise or your area of expertise or your business, promotion, or is that something?
I think it's not just the asking, because you mentioned the curiosity. I think the curiosity is important because that makes you wonder, what if? Like, what if I did this? Or what if I tried that new thing? Or what if I asked that question? But I think behind that is the actual action that takes place. Like Sanya was talking about social media and showing up builds confidence. But I don't think immediately showing up allows you to express yourself in the way that you define as true, because you might not know it unless you consistently put yourself out there and discovered what is true for you. And someone in the workshop asked a question like, is it okay to have multiple masks? And I like this because I think in certain ways we're all actors. We have different personalities depending on who we're talking to. And that's okay, and it's normal. It's just we got to decide what is the version of myself that is true, that I get to put on social media. And if I go on my social media, what's great about this is I like to think that I have many lives, and you can see if you go on my social media, the way I express myself changes over time. And when I look back at that, I don't cringe. I think it's actually quite beautiful to see that transformation.
I like that.
And
To
change.
embrace it.
Yeah,
To embrace it instead of
it.
saying, oh my gosh, I went through this weird phase where I did this. Or,
Oh, that was kind of cringy, but it's okay. I
Yeah.
grew, right? Yeah. So
embracing the cringe, right? I've had several moments.
Yes, you have to. There's no other way. I feel like there's no other way other than embracing the cringe, because I tend to do that as well after like a workshop or public speaking. It just, this internal dialogue starts, right? Okay, what did I do wrong? Okay, I think I shouldn't have said that. And then it takes, honestly, energy and time to switch that dialogue to something more proactive and being more gentle to yourself.
So how do you overcome it? Is there like a device, or is there something that you do to overcome? Because I'm sure there are a lot of us that overthink things, whether they be decisions or things that we discussed in a meeting or a presentation. Yeah, how do you get away from, or
Yeah. The thing when we talk about personal brand and the emotions we experience, right? We deal a lot with shame or embarrassment, and we absolutely, most likely, we will go through that. And the only way to go through shame is to go through it, actually. So actually taking time, I take time with myself because I know I tend to criticize myself a lot, and especially for us women who work a lot and we get to get in our head a lot. So our thoughts are just rumbling, racing in our heads, and that is where we need to stop and slow down. And that's how I take time with myself. Maybe I don't even feel like supporting myself in the moment, but I know I gotta do this. I gotta give myself time and be like, okay, no, let's focus. Because also another thing is the way our brain works. We tend to focus on maybe things we don't like about ourselves, or like criticizing or some negatives. It's more natural for us to see some sort of flaws.
Negative and the positive, yeah.
So for the positive, we actually have to be intentional and be aware that we gotta spend that energy and actually intentional. Take time, I don't know, put it on my calendar, or just know that I tend to criticize myself in certain situations. So after that, I know in advance that I'm gonna be taking some time for myself to actually calm myself and find those beautiful things in my day or in my speech.
It's like giving yourself grace.
Yeah.
And just being intentional. I
Yeah.
love that word. And Okay, we're gonna go to a quick break and we'll be right back. How can a strong personal brand open up doors with money, partnerships, good relationships, and other opportunities for an individual and their business?
Ooh, I'd love to start this question because, or answering this question just because one of the major opportunities that was presented to me was with a type of partnership with a major brand strategist in social media personality, I guess, from Dubai. And mind you, we're like miles and miles apart. And the reason why that opportunity was presented was because I posted on social media and she saw my work and she asked to work with me. And to me, that's crazy to think that, or maybe not crazy anymore, but the opportunities that are available through social media or by simply putting yourself out there. Even my relationship with Senya, I mean, we connected right from the bat, but I don't think she would have asked for me to partner with her in so many of these events and workshops if I didn't hold myself to some sort of standard, or if I didn't present myself in a way she thought like, oh, Lou is respectable, she could be up here
But
too.
and approachable as well. I think
Yeah.
that's something on social media. It's very intimidating for a lot of people, and so they may, enjoy what you post and just find it engaging. But at the same time, they're like, oh, but she's never going to respond to me if I send her a direct message or if I put something in her comments. So yeah, I think that's one of the when I see both of you actually is that you both come off as very approachable, in your social media posts.
And it's so nice when people are like, they DM you and this is someone from some other part of the world and they're like, hey, we love the work you do, or we love your content, or you just seem like such a great human being. Like, we have some questions, can you help us with this? And it's just such a nice thing when people you don't even know take the time to do that for you, right?
I'm a little more old school, I would say. We don't have a crazy age gap, but I do less social media and more traditional methods. So when we work with my clients, we send out press releases and do things like that. A lot of it is networking. I think for me, to be invited in to host a workshop or do other activities, a lot of it in Guam was joining the Women's Chamber. Because I was new 7 years ago, I came to Guam, and one big step for me was joining the chamber. So joining any business community is a great way to open those doors and being active about presenting what do you do, so that when people need someone from your field, they're like, okay, this person can talk about this topic. And actually, that's what I was wondering, how do you open opportunities with the media?
Yeah, I think with us here at KUAM, our brand is basically, KUAM is over 70 years old. And so with us, it's that building that trust with the community. I feel like, we're standing on the shoulders of giants, innovators who really brought commercial media to Guam. However, and so there's that legacy that we strive to protect and to still stay a voice in the community to turn to in times of need, to share, to build your community. That said, though, we are in changing times, and yes, it's something that we generationally we've had to do so much to just keep our brand strong. With all these different competing sources of media, the beauty of it is we can connect to a global audience now. Yeah. So, before it would be, people would record tapes and send off island, but we have that opportunity to maintain that connection, but we just have to do it in a different way. We have our core, we are a commercial broadcast station, and we value our connection with the community, but that connection with the community has to go beyond just being TV and radio now. It has to do with being social media, so and digital media, and with that, yes, I think that having that flexibility to transform your brand and just check yourself on who do we want to have those connections with, and how do we continue to be authentic with a platform that isn't at our core or wasn't part of our initial vision for the company, because technology has just we've had to change our mission and revise it and pivot you know, to
Oh, wow.
so it's pretty interesting. I know it's always keeps us on our toes, but yes, just I think staying true to the essence of who you are at your core, but being willing to adapt.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is for me. I don't know if I stayed on. I mean, I know like I evolved, and that's a whole nother topic, you know, where media is going. But I think, you know, just to from both of where you both come from, with your approaches with clients and with your businesses, you know, that's my take on it, is that you just have to be resilient and willing to adapt.
And this podcast is a great example of this,
yes.
right?
Yeah, what we're doing right now is the perfect example. Do you see an emotional block or ever see emotional blocks with clients, and what are those, or what do you find?
Yeah, there's a lot. Like I said earlier, embarrassment is a big one. And I think it's really important to work through that, maybe with the help of someone, or actually one of the overlooked things in the modern self-help and self-work era, I feel, is feedback from others. So I don't just evaluate myself by myself alone. I also can go and ask feedback from other people. Okay, what do you think my strengths are? What do you think I can be known for? Or how do you see me? And taking in consideration what other people tell us. Because that's also, we talked about self-doubt and other things, and this imposter syndrome and all that, and getting that feedback, especially from the people you trust and who you know are kind to you, is really, and being able to absorb it is very important.
Listening, I think, is a big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Senya mentioned doubt. And I think especially as women, that's something that's normal. Like there's this study that I remember, and it's pretty crazy. I forgot what it was exactly, but there's a huge difference between how men and women respond to like shame and guilt, like significant differences. Men typically are more able to just push, I made a mistake, whatever, let's move on. Versus women, for days, they'll typically like stay hung up on a quote unquote mistake that they made and think, oh, that was embarrassing. Oh, I should be ashamed or guilty. And so I think knowing that information is a type of leverage, because now you're like, do I want to be in a position where I allow myself to just get hung up on something and therefore not make a mistake when there are people, even men, who are willing to move forward regardless and get these opportunities. And so a lot of times I can imagine women approach me, like coaches especially, because that's who I work with, will be like, oh, who am I to post? Like, who's going to listen to me? And like, why do I matter? Essentially is what they're asking. And it's like, who are you not to post? Like, who, if someone can receive value from the work that you do, if you can impact someone's life and make a difference, and you know that you have that ability, then who are you not to help that person? And I think that reframe can help people take action, because therefore it's no longer a matter of, oh, this is embarrassing, how bad am I going to look? It becomes, who am I serving? How can I better help that individual and help someone who I know could dramatically be helped by the work that I can do?
And I just wanted to add quickly to the process of the emotion. A beautiful thing about emotions, they last at most 2.5 minutes. Everything that happens after is our brain and thoughts. So I know I might experience embarrassment, but it's going to last 2.5 minutes. Everything else, I'm actually responsible for it, and I can prevent it, and I can work on it, and I can stop it. I can say, okay, this is enough. I'm going to go and continue building my personal brand and doing what I was doing. I don't need to contemplate about it for so long.
I love that because there was even a movie, I think it's called, was it Zoo? It's something Zoo. And they talk about like the 3-second rule. And I don't know if this is true, but it's like if when you count down to 3, you do the thing, or maybe that's enough time to feel that emotion, whatever that is. So if it's like, oh, in 3 seconds, I'm going to hit post and just leave it there. And so just having those like markers help you take action can allow you to just do the thing. And it's not that you don't care about what people think, it's you just did it regardless.
On the social side, how hung up are you on, or how important is just that engagement? Because I do know, I have 2 daughters who, again, they're Gen Z, so what they do is very intentional and deliberate in terms of their brand for their posts. But I've seen them, look at, oh, this didn't do well within hours, right? Or this, I'm taking it down. I'm just like, my mentality is like, it's out there, what for good or for better or worse or whatever, that, and it's something that you just have to let it breathe and live, and it's not something that's going to change people's perception of you because it only has 4 likes or something. Like, so when you mention things like that, how important is that? And in business with your clients, what do you say to them if they did something that they worked on something with you for their branding and it didn't do well?
I think the feeling of relying on engagement and being so fixated on it is normal because we use it as a measurement or gauge to say, how well liked am I? And I think that's such a normal thing to do. And I do this too. Like, it's hard not to post something that you put your heart and soul into and your personality into and think or see like, oh, it's not blowing up. It's not having the engagement that I would like. And I think that's normal. First, like establishing, okay, that's normal. But also knowing that we don't control who sees the work that we put out there and how many people see it. And I think once we kind of, at least the way that I like to think about it, is constantly reminding myself, well, first off, what's the goal? Is it just to get high numbers because then I'm perceived as being someone that's well liked? Or is it to put my best foot out there, the work that I do out there in a way that is representative of who I am, my values, or what I'm trying to do, and continue. Like you mentioned resilience earlier, and I think that's what it takes, being resilient, because you're not going to always just like pop off like some people. I think it's a matter of staying true to yourself. Like, what am I doing this for? What is my goal?
It's more sustainable that
exactly.
way, right? If you're not just hung up on fixated and hung up on numbers, and I think that you have more. If you have more confidence, then you can understand that you're true to your brand, and it's not always going to skyrocket. But there might be somebody out there that does connect with it, and they learn something about you or your business, and yeah, and
I just want to say, when you don't operate from that perspective, you have more fun. Like, and I think that's what matters. Like, people who approach me, like, I don't have a whole lot of views, I don't have a whole lot of followers, but I have opportunities where businesses approach me to work with them, to create content for them. And so I think once I got past, I don't need these many followers and all those numbers, I was able to show up in a way that I'm happy with. So I look at my content, and mind you, this is something that's over time, and I'm not saying it's amazing, but it's something where I'm like, oh, this was fun. Ooh, I had fun, and I showed up in a way that I know was true to me. And I think that allows you the flexibility to create. And when you're in a creative state, people are smarter than you might think on the internet, and they could tell when you're being like true versus like,
well, that's what I was going to ask. When it comes to branding, there are what advice do you have for being authentic in a world where there are so many artificial or manufactured images, messages? Like, what would you both say to that in terms of branding?
I'd say that the raw personality attracts more people, creates more trust, and just feels more fun, like Lou was saying. It's the curiosity that you were mentioning, right? And we, on the social media and everywhere in marketing, we just have a hypothesis. Okay, I'm gonna do this and then maybe I'll get this outcome. And with being authentic, it's just, I am this way. This is how I'm feeling today. And I actually had a client recently, and she was working on her social media and getting frustrated. And then she posted something. She was like, I posted 3-minute video, a reel on Instagram. How crazy is that? But then she was so emotional and raw in it that it blew up. And it wasn't even her intention. Like, she was so done with the socials and so irritated with it. But as she let herself do just whatever she felt like in the moment, that's when people felt it and loved it and fell in love with her.
That authenticity.
Yeah.
Wow. So how do you connect someone's personal story to their business goals? Or does it vary from client to client?
I think it starts with a simple, one of the most simple questions, which is, why did you start your business? And normally when I ask my clients this, they tell their story. Oh, I started this because I was a stay-at-home mom. I wanted to make sure that my kid had a better life or a better education, or chemical-free, blah, blah, blah. And so when you ask them, why are you doing this, typically, and there are micro questions in addition to that, but usually that leads to their story. And what I'm finding with a lot of creators is once they share that story and they connect it to why they're doing the work they do, that's when the audience really dives in. And when we connect back to the company versus the human, a lot of that is around that story. Mm-hmm. What is keeping you moving forward? What is allowing you to stay resilient despite the struggle?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the brands I connect with, I love origin stories. I love knowing that this used to be a corporate attorney who decided she wanted to make jewelry, or I love, and then I share it with others, and it just becomes this infectious thing that because you kind of take pride in that brand that you discovered. Yeah. And their story, and then you just spread the word about them. So I totally am on board with that. Sen, do you have any thing to say about that, about your personal story and connecting, with your business goals or your success?
I'm just thinking that I had a really interesting pivot when I first came to Guam, and I opened a retail store here, and I've never done it before. But I just thought for a moment, because of the language barrier, the accent, and other things, I didn't know anybody, that I couldn't do what I'm used to doing, project management and other things. And it was really interesting how it was my way to step into the community and meet hundreds of people. It was fantastic. But it was quite unlike me. I realized it at some point, because I've been managing and been in IT industry for 15 years at the time. Wow. And now here I am selling dresses and jewelry. It was super fun and it was beautiful. I'm really grateful for that moment. But I realized that actually I am probably, yes, I love art and I love seeing others do art, but what my true calling is probably project management. I really wanted to go back. So I closed the store. And the funny story is that a lot of people still see me in the street and they're like, oh, I remember in Medusa store. I'm like, yeah. It was just 2 or 3 years of my life, and I've been doing for almost 20 something else. But because people learned about me, and that's where I was the most outgoing, and they learned about me in that stage, that's what they
Yeah.
remembered. So that's what they associate me with.
I love that. I think that's a testament to how our brand, we don't have to fit in a box. There are so many chapters to our story. And so in defining our brand, it can be so diverse. I think you two are a great like testament to that, and I think that it inspires other people that just because I have this degree or I'm in this job doesn't mean that's all I have to do, or that I have to be in this line of work forever. And I think that that is, it's just so inspiring. So
Yeah, and the most fun niches actually for personal brands emerge on the edge of two completely different, I don't know, industries, like a lawyer cook, right, or a jewelry maker, I don't know, doctor or something like that.
no, exactly.
It's when we embrace the full spectrum of our personality and all the sides. That's where we can show to the world something very unique, and that's where I think the personal brand lays.
And I think so many people can connect with.
Yeah.
Like if they do have something creative inside, but they're doing something else, or I think it's great, and you both are so inspiring. We're going to take another break, but we will be back. This was a very prolific conversation, and I wish we had more time, but unfortunately, we're going to have to start to wrap it up. So I wanted to check just in on you as some final thoughts on what are the first steps that someone should take in defining their personal brand?
The first major step that I think people should take is one that we think about, but we don't really take action on, and that's sitting with ourselves, like actually taking the time to sit with ourselves and ask, what is an actual goal that I want and actually want? Because when you can define your goal, something that you want to work towards, you can work backwards. So what I mean, for example, is if your goal is to get more opportunities by creating your social media account and being able to work with companies internationally, then what does that take? Well, that takes posting that first video. That takes deciding, who do I want to show up as? So once you you can sit with yourself and define what your goal is, you can work backwards. And so now you got something to work off of, rather than just kind of freeballing it and just going wherever and trying to figure it out from there.
Mine is also going to be a question, because that's how we work, or I work, right? Asking questions, my clients, endless questions. And one of the main ones is probably for those who don't really have a niche yet, or they haven't really found what they can talk about, is what irritates you in the world so much that you want to change, or you feel is unfair or should be changed. That is a really great question to find your niche or your interest.
It's a great starting point. I'm thinking. Well, I'd like to thank you both so much. Again, please share where we can find you, because again, you do a lot of individual coaching, right? And I'm sure people, this was just a sample of what I'm sure you could get from working with both of you. So as is GWCC Women Rising tradition, we're going to do our rapid rising round. And I just have some quick questions for brief answers. So just top of mind. Okay, ready? Recommend an influencer to me on social media. Someone that you think I should follow.
Andrew Huberman. Why? I don't know.
I'm writing it down.
Oh shoot, I don't have specific names, but I love following artists and creators. So musicians, I mean, like artists and musicians. Okay. The names, they're not coming to me right now. But if I scrolled real quick, I could find.
Okay. We'll have it. Well, we're going to, in post-production, we can always pop it in.
Okay, awesome.
If you share it with us. Mine would be, I think, I love Tracy Ellis Ross, Diana Ross's daughter. She's an actress. She's also a style icon, and she's very inspirational, and she has such positive energy. She just radiates it. So if you follow me on Instagram, you see that I repost a lot of her stuff. So that's mine. Okay, moving on. Describe your energy in a few words.
When I'm coaching, it's comforting, calming, and inspiring.
I think right now it's very feminine, very dreamy, but also playful.
Mine, I'm gonna steal Sen's. I like to think that I'm comforting and not intimidating. I have Jenna behind the camera. I don't know, but that's how I perceive myself, just being comfortable, comforting person.
And fun.
And fun.
That's why you need to ask for feedback,
Yay.
right? When
See, you
working
said
on
it, so I'm
personal
fun.
brand.
I'm a fun person.
Yes.
Recommend a binge-worthy show. Something I should
Oh,
watch right
Only
now.
Murders in the Building.
Okay.
I love it. So fun.
One that I watched recently was, I thought it was pronounced Kaos, Kaos, but it's actually Chaos.
What platform is it on?
Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah. Or A24 films. I've been getting into those recently.
I love A24 films. Not the horror ones.
I love them.
But, or some of them, but yeah, I'm an A24 buff too. But on the other end of the spectrum is my love of trashy reality TV. And I was a Love Island addict, and I even watched the Love Island games recently. So yes, I feel like that's the ultimate escape. The Traitors is another one that's coming up. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
I wanna watch
I'm yeah.
I think you should leave. I felt like the need to mention that. But if you're into comedy, unhinged comedy.
Oh, he
I-
is so neurotic. He also has a
the chair company.
the chair company.
And best friends.
Yes, yes.
To my
I
humor.
love, what is his name? Tony Robinson?
Yeah, I think you should leave.
His
Yeah.
humor makes people uncomfortable though.
That's why
My
I love
husband
it.
gets uncomfortable when he's like, "Why are we watching this?" But I don't know if you're familiar with him, but I think a lot of those things about overthinking and just kind of being fixated on our insecurities,
Yeah.
that's that he's one of those comedians that does that. But I enjoy his stuff.
It's hilarious.
Okay, what is one career that I'm not going to say dream, but because you know that, again, you talked about having many chapters for in our lives. So what is one career that you might see yourself pivoting to in the future? Something that you've always wanted to do.
I was thinking more as of alternative life, but hopefully in the future, a book writer. An alternative
I
life,
can see that.
an artist.
Okay.
Ooh, I love that you said that because then pivoting to, I tried podcasting. I just wasn't consistent, but I think right now I'm definitely exploring more artistic routes. So if there's an opportunity for me to just go full on creative,
Okay.
I think I would love that. Which content creation has a lot to do.
It's along
yeah.
the same lines. For me, just because it's kind of top of mind right now, and I share this with my team all the time, is we're doing some food segments for the holidays, but that's something that I've always wanted to do, to be like on a national show or network, like the Food Network, be a food segment producer or a food show, a food series. And I know we can do that on the local level on Guam, but honestly, that would be if the Today Show came calling and said they needed a food executive producer, I would be out of here. Sorry, Jenna.
I thought you were going to say fashion influencer.
Oh, again, there's so many
Fashion blogger.
chapters, right? Like one day,
Yeah.
that might have been yesterday, but today, since we've been doing Thanksgiving recipes, I'm like on that food producer train. But I think I've learned that from you guys, is that, your story can have many chapters, it can have many facets, and so I appreciate you both for being here.
Yeah. And you can do
Thank
that
you.
now, You can be that food influencer on social media.
Well,
Food
yeah,
and
there you
fashion.
go. I can get maybe
Combined.
let's connect after this, and you can give me tips and pointers. can you share just a little bit more about where people can find you and how they can avail of your services?
Yeah, I have a website, birdofparadise.digital, and this is where you can find some of the portfolio of my agency, and there's also a page dedicated to my services as a coach.
And for me, I mostly post on, no surprise, social media, so Instagram at lourdes.mofnos. And there's my Stan Store link, so I work with clients one-on-one to build their personal brand, to work on their social media, and that's where you'll find me. And I post a lot of fun stuff on Instagram.
Yes, I enjoy your reels.
I love
as
watching
well.
you, and a lot of work goes into that.
Well, thank you both. I'd love to talk more. So maybe I said this could be maybe the beginning of something more for next year. Maybe this could be a pilot for the Lou and Sen show.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks. And now we're going to hear from Dina Rendon Pangilinan, our president, with her President's Take.
Hafaday, my name is Dina Rendon Pangilinan, and I am the president of the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce. Sidus Maasi for joining us here today on our 9th episode of Women Rising here at KUAM Studios. On behalf of the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce, we invite you to join us on this journey where together we help drive the equal participation of women in business and help shape the future of our home here in Guam. Sincere thank you to Ksenia and Lourdes for joining us here today and sharing their creative knowledge on how to elevate your personal brand. On the GWCC calendar this month, our fundraising committee continues to prepare for our first bowling fundraiser, an all-ages event now on Saturday, November 29th at Century Lanes. Join us for a day of family-friendly activities and a chance of winning special prizes. Hope to see you there. Next month, we will also be hosting a Glow Hour on December 4th at 5:30 p.m. at the Women's Business Center in Hagåtña. Join us for an evening of creativity, reflection, and community connection, featuring vision board and oracle card reading activities. We hope to see you there. And last but not least, as we wrap up the year, our final 2025 General Membership Meeting will take place on December 11th at the Crown Plaza Hotel from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., featuring our 2026 board elections and a member showcase. Join us for an exciting evening and help shape the future leaders of our organization. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to our community for your unwavering support and spirit, which inspire the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce to serve with purpose this Thanksgiving season. As we gather with family and friends, let us remember to cherish each blessing and express appreciation for the strength, compassion, and unity that define us. Stay up to date on our monthly meetings and more by following our social medias, Instagram or Facebook, and visiting our website, guamwomenschamber.com. Sidus Maasi for being here with us today, and follow along next month as we continue this journey with another episode of Women Rising. Adios for now.
To see an extended episode of this podcast, visit the KUAM News YouTube channel.
Women Rising on the KUAM Podcast Network is produced by the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce. Learn more about the GWCC by visiting their website, www.guamwomenschamber.com, or any of their social media accounts. Join us next month for another episode.